I have had it up to here with all the body dysmorphia comments on all my videos about fatphobia. Like, objectively, this is what you look like. You are not fat. Like, objectively, you are not fat. And I know that body dysmorphia is you obsessing over how you look and, like, maybe even imagining being bigger or having these flaws that you don't have. But look at yourself objectively in photos or videos. You are not fat! Like, this is me. This is my body. I am a fat person. And I get treated like one. You are not a fat person. You don't get treated like a fat person. I'm sorry that you struggle with body dysmorphia, but that does not excuse fatphobia.
The thing that annoys me most about this video is how this person has absolutely no idea what body dysmorphia is, and they don't care to take a few minutes out of their day to educate themselves before putting a random commenter on blast. She keeps yelling at this person to look at themselves objectively, which can be completely impossible for someone with body dysmorphia to do. That's like yelling at someone with a restrictive ED to just eat more. This woman is being incredibly rude and disrespectful, and I suspect the reason she thinks she gets treated badly in her day-to-day life isn't because she's fat. It's because she lacks a lot of basic human empathy, and people treat her accordingly.
In war on the planet Earth, is there any... So, like, we're just gonna completely ignore the fact that body dysmorphia exists, and they might literally see themselves as...
Why do y'all only bring up body dysmorphic disorder when you are trying to silence fat people? Why do y'all feel that it is necessary to weaponize your own mental diagnoses in order to continue to perpetuate fatphobic tendencies? When y'all do that, all y'all are really saying is, I would do and say absolutely anything to continue to be fatphobic. You are giving a big middle finger to actual fat people. If you don't care that something is fatphobic, if you do not want to change your behavior in order to benefit other people, then simply don't talk. Because when you bring up BDD in this context, you're invalidating the whole mental diagnosis. There is more to BDD than just viewing yourself as bigger than what you are. It should not be used as a weapon.
People with BDD making a community or doing whatever trends they want on TikTok is not a personal attack on all fat people. It's a coping mechanism for a mental disorder that is absolutely not rooted in fatphobia. This woman said that people with body dysmorphia are barging into fat people's business unprovoked, but I've been around these TikTok streets for a bit now, and I've seen many videos of fat acceptance advocates bashing people with body dysmorphia unprovoked all the time. And the next clip will prove that.
Like, layer that just hangs over? Like, is that normal?
Okay, we need to make a clear distinction between body dysmorphia and fatphobia. That comment section. I can't with thin people. You're antagonizing plus-size women. This whole comment section is a skinny circle jerk. Appalling. For body dysmorphia as severe as this, it's a good idea to see a therapist. Do not invalidate and tease someone based on the false assumption that you made that they are fatphobic when actually they have body dysmorphia, which was said at the beginning. A note on body positivity. I understand the intention. I love that people are embracing their bodies in all conditions. However, the majority of the cyberbullying that I've been seeing is coming from body positivity advocates. Not all of them, but it's becoming a pattern. For example, if I develop a mole on my face and I say, hey, is this normal? Someone goes, oh, dare you antagonize people with freckles? It makes no sense. A better response would be, hey, I'm not a mole professional, but you should see a professional. It's easy to be nice, so be nice.
This video is difficult to watch, let alone edit. The body positivity movement claims to not only be positive, but to be advocates for mental health, a lot of times at the expense of their own physical health. Yet you can find them in multiple comment sections across TikTok and other places on the internet, outright bullying people with mental illnesses. This type of behavior is a huge reason why I make these videos, because these actions that the fat acceptance movement displays in this video makes openly having a restrictive ED or any other mental illness as severe as body dysmorphia a lot harder to do on the internet. This type of rhetoric does harm, not to mention the misinformation they're spreading about these disorders. It's absolutely vile, but I wish nothing for the best for the woman in this video who was bullied for the sole crime of daring to openly share about their body dysmorphia on the internet.
Yes, I am, and I'll prove it too. All right, criteria for anorexia. Fear of becoming fat or gaining weight. That is quite literally fatphobia. And these are required criteria. This is not optional. So you have to have this diagnostic criteria, fatphobia, to have an eating disorder, according to the DSM. Let me just state again before the thins attack me. I'm not blaming anyone for their eating disorder. Society is definitely the cause, and I'm not saying anyone's a bad person. I'm saying that you need to work on your fat phobia to recover from your eating disorder and to not perpetuate oppression of fat people.
Okay, I first want to start off by defining the word fat phobia. A lot of people in the fat acceptance community, like this person, like to use the literal definition of fat phobia, which is to mean a fear of fat people or a fear of being fat. I think that's incredibly stupid. If this group really believes they're a marginalized group, then they would use the word in the more widely understood definition, which is discrimination against fat people. Defining fatphobia as a fear of being fat is exclusively used in the fat acceptance community to try to further the narrative that everyone is fatphobic, because most normal people have an aversion to being fat because we understand that it's unhealthy. Second, even if we use the fear of being fat as the definition of fatphobia, that still doesn't mean that restrictive EDs are rooted in fatphobia. That list showed the symptoms of the disorder. It's not a diagnosis of how someone got the disorder. And that distinction may seem nitpicky, but it's actually not. Saying a disorder is rooted in fatphobia implies that the fatphobia caused the symptoms. That can't be proven from a list of diagnostic criteria. Just like looking at the diagnostic criteria for depression and saying that if someone just works on their overwhelming guilt, that will cure their depression. Guilt is a symptom of the disorder, not the cause of it. So telling someone that they just need to work through their fat phobia to cure their disorder is ill-informed, to say the least, and beyond disrespectful. And I really wish these people would shut up.
This is another thought, probably not my last, about the normalizing normal bodies trend. I see a lot of people in my comments talking about, I have an eating disorder or I have body dysmorphia, so seeing this helps me. And I don't deny that, on an individual level, it is helpful for you. I get that. But my issue is, A, fat people and people with marginalized bodies should be able to critique this kind of thing without having eating disorders always brought up. You see that happen a lot. And 2, we need to be honest that body dysmorphia is rooted in fat phobia. There are other factors. If your mind is telling you that you're fat and you want these videos to show you that you're really not, that's fat phobia. Hate to break it to you. So I'm trying to critique a systemic discrimination issue, and you're bringing it back to a personal issue. It's reductive.
I can understand how fat people may not enjoy seeing videos where people rejoice about not being fat. But first, as this person said, the normalization of women's bodies can be useful on an individual level because in most media, we don't see a lot of authentic, non-retouched images of women's bodies. So if this trend is helping people, then move on. Second, most of what the fat acceptance movement does isn't critiquing the behaviors of people with mental disorders. It is mostly minimizing the symptoms of the disorder while also trying to cure it by saying, if you just hate fat people less, you'll be fine. And 3, BDD is not rooted in fat phobia.
Something you'll get a lot of hate for if you say it out loud.
A lot of what people on this app call body dysmorphia is actually just fat phobia. Things like body checking, intense fear of weight gain, worrying about how your body looks to the point where you can't enjoy any activities. These things are not necessarily indicative of body dysmorphia. You might know how your body looks and just not like it, think it's too fat, or be afraid of it getting fatter. But all of these things are indicative of fat phobia towards yourself, but fat phobia nonetheless.
Let's say, hypothetically, that this woman is correct, and a lot of what people are doing on TikTok that they're calling body dysmorphia is, in fact, just a general fear of being fat that disturbs many aspects of their day-to-day life. That is still not fat phobia in the sense that it doesn't harm anyone except the individual experiencing it. I can hate having acne, and I can go out of my way to prevent it, but that doesn't mean I hate people that have acne. And if I was losing a lot of sleep over worrying about my acne every day, I would hope other people would be more sympathetic rather than dismissive of the problem, like this woman is.
I think it's time we have a conversation. Trigger warning, this is going to be an uncomfortable conversation, so if you find that you're in a really vulnerable place right now, maybe put this video on pause and come back later. Here's the uncomfortable reality. If you have an intense fear of weight gain or becoming fat, such as required for a diagnosis of anorexia nervosa, recurrent episodes of binging and then purging to avoid weight gain, required for a diagnosis of bulimia nervosa, or if you have BDD and your preoccupation has to do with body size, it would be literally impossible for you to not be fatphobic. Because fatphobia is the fear or hatred of fat bodies. That doesn't mean you're a bad person, and in my next video, I'm gonna tell you why.
I really hate the idea that someone on TikTok, especially someone that's not a licensed professional, thinks they can tell someone how to recover from an ED. This woman is recovering from an ED herself and seems to have taken it upon herself to start preaching to the rest of TikTok on how they, too, can get into recovery. It makes no sense. And to harken back to a previous example, if someone is depressed and feeling guilty all the time, they shouldn't be told by some random stranger that their guilt is causing harm to other people. And they also shouldn't be trying to get help on a social media app made for children. This woman is not a professional, so please don't listen to her.